2026. At the June extraordinary meeting of Council resolved to revert back to its previous code of meeting practice, following advice from the Office of Local Government that the Local Government General Amendment Model Code of Meeting Practice Regulation 2025, which prescribed the Model 2025 Model Code of Meeting Practice, had been disallowed by the Legislative Council, and that such Council's previous Code of Meeting Practice allowed for 2 public forum sessions held during the Council meeting. 1 public forum session will be held following the acknowledgement of Broken Hill's mining history, to hear submissions from the public on matters listed for consideration at this meeting, and to also hear submissions on general matters. And the other public forum session will be held prior to the confidential matters and will consider submissions from the public on matters considered by Council at this meeting only. Councils undertook an oath or affirmation at the beginning of their term of office and declared to undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interest of the people of the Broken Hill local government area and the city of Broken Hill, and that they will faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in them under the Local Government Act 1993 or any other act to the best of their ability and judgment. This council meeting is being live streamed via YouTube and recorded and published via Council's website. To those present in the gallery today, by attending or participating in this public meeting, you are consenting to your image, voice and comments being recorded and published. The Mayor and/or General Manager have the authority to pause or terminate the stream if comments or debate are considered defamatory, otherwise inappropriate for publishing. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if they engage in unlawful behaviour. We have nil apologies. We have 2 leave of absence. We have a leave of absence for Deputy Mayor Hickey. His leave of absence is he is attending a meeting in Canberra on behalf of Council. We have Councillor Turley submitted a leave of absence application and provided the reason attending professional development. We have a moved Councillor Edgecombe, seconded Councillor Gillett. All those in favour? Declare it carried unanimously. Councillor Boland, could you deliver the prayer?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Almighty God, we ask you to invoke your blessing upon this council, direct and prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Councillor Edgecombe.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet today, the land of the Willakali people, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.
Thank you. Councillor Jewett.
Thank you. We take time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed on the line of load. We thank the brave miners and their wives who were part of the 1919 to 1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and future.
Thank you. The first public forum session of 15 minutes duration will consider submissions from the public regarding matters listed for consideration at this meeting only and general managers. The public have been advised through notice on Council's website to register by 4 p.m. today if they wish to address Council during the public forum session. Members of the public who have registered to address Council will be given preference, and then, if time permits, anyone else present in the public gallery may address Council. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes to address Council. We did not receive any submissions from the public. We have 1 member in the gallery. Would you know? We have no presentations from the general public. Can we have a mover for the minutes of May 27?
Move the minutes.
Moved Councillor Chandler, seconded Councillor Page. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Do we have any disclosures of interest?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have 2 as shown on screen. So that is for item 3, report number 83/26. And that is a non-pecuniary conflict of interest and will leave the chamber. Also for item 7, report number 87/26, it's also a non-pecuniary conflict of interest and will leave the chamber.
Thank you. That was in further reports, item 3 and 7.
Oh, yes, sorry, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, in further reports.
Yeah, thank you. We move to item 1, which is mayoral minutes. It's on page 16 of the business paper. It's advocacy support for the Regional Banking Investment and Alliance campaign to keep face-to-face banking alive. The mayoral minute be received that council notes the Regional Banking Investment Alliance RBIA campaign to keep face-to-face banking alive. That council recognises the critical role that major financial institutions play in providing branch services in remote and regional communities, supporting the economic and social well-being of regional communities. That council supports the campaigns to keep face-to-face banking alive by sharing campaign material through council's communications channels, engaging with local media and community stakeholders to raise awareness, raise the matter with Country Mayors Association of New South Wales for their support of Regional Banking Investment Alliance campaign, that the mayoral correspondence be sent to the Regional Banking Investment Alliance and the 4 major banks, Commonwealth Bank, Westpac, National Bank and the ANZ Bank, expressing council support for the campaign and urging the major banks to commitment to maintain branch services in remote and regional communities beyond 2027. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Chandler. As people would know, as a council, we have always promoted keeping banking services in Broken Hill, particularly face-to-face. It's really important. It's important for investment. It's also important for people to have a vibrant community, because if you start losing those frontal services, whether people like it or not, people think that your city is in decline. So we want to, in Broken Hill, keep all that we can. You want to be as close to what the major cities are. I'm sure Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide would not put up with losing face-to-face services at banking, and neither should we. So we need to continue to fight it. We need to make sure, because there's still plenty of people that do use the bank services and like to go in and use that face-to-face service. And what we're doing is fighting for them to continue to be able to do that. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor Allgate? Oh, no, I thought you were grabbing, yeah. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Declare that carried unanimously. Notice of motion, nil. Notice of rescission, motion, nil. Reports from delegates, nil. We move to committee meetings, Corporate and Community Committee. Temporary suspension of a portion of the Central Business District alcohol-free zone for the Monday Light Fest August 2026 on page 20 of the business paper. Do we have a mover for that?
Move the recommendation.
Move Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Gillett. Councillor Allgate?
I think it's only common sense that we do precisely what the recommendations suggest, Mayor Kennedy. It's likely to be a really wonderful night, 3 nights in a row with the Light Fest. I can imagine that, given the detail, it's going to be a real extravaganza. So to open up Argent Street and allow the consumption of alcohol for that period of time, for those 3 nights, is the right way to go. Also, there's been an extension of, there will be, as part of another committee, an extension of the bus zone in front of the Palace Hotel. That's extended. That's going to be extended to two bays to allow people to get off at the appropriate place. I think it's a good thing all around.
Yep. Do we have other speakers? Look, if it's anything like our Beyond Dust festival, will be well attended. But what it also does, it brings people into the city that are travelling here for the bash, and it might bring them here a little bit earlier, and allows the businesses to take full advantage of those people that are travelling to Broken Hill that are going to the bash. One of the things that have been brought up is that we're not getting enough return from the people that are going to the bash. This gives us the opportunity. So I thank all councillors, I would say all going to support, but I thank the organisers and all involved for putting this on, because it will make a difference to the businesses and the Broken Hill community leading up to the bash. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Adoption of the Disability Inclusion Action Plan on page 24 of the business paper. Do we have a mover for that? Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Page. Councillor Allgate.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Kennedy. the report, there wasn't a great deal to report in terms of this particular matter, but I hark back to the incident or the information that we received from the consultant that came to Broken Hill from Spinal Life Australia, where he said that not only to the council, the group council meeting at the time, but also to the Ageing Well Committee, that Broken Hill was, even though there are things still needed, that Broken Hill City Council was far better placed than many other councils of the same size, and that we should congratulate ourselves for the action that the council and the staff have taken up to date. And I think that needs to be noted, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, for sure, councillor Allgate. Councillor Page?
Yes, I'd like to support the comments that Councillor Allgate has made. I attended the presentation. It was good to see management, the councillors, everyone was so keen to take part of it. So, and I think we've put together a very good future for the people living in our town with disability.
Thank you, councillor Page. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 is the adoption of the draft mobile food vehicles, temporary food stalls and hawking policy on page 101 of the business paper. Do we have a mover for that? Move councillor Chandler, seconded councillor Allgate. Councillor Chandler?
Yeah, this recommendation was, we got nil people come back about it. It's been held on for 28 days and it's good news. It was well done. And it's only temporary anyway.
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 4, minutes of the 355 Ageing Well Advisory Committee meeting held May 6, 2026 on page 112. Councillor Allgate, move.
Move the recommendation.
Seconded. Councillor Page. Councillor Allgate.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. There was not a great deal to report from the committee. One important aspect was the opportunity that presented itself where 2 representatives from Dementia Australia were in town to conduct sessions at the Musicians Club dealing with dementia and people, all matters dealing with dementia. I'm just trying to think, Dr. David Williams was the main spokesperson, and there was also Mr. Lance Dale, who himself was a dementia patient. He was suffering from Alzheimer's, early onset of Alzheimer's. It was interesting because it gave the people who are involved in the industry hands-on, and those that have been involved personally on a home care basis. It touched on a few things that, really people don't understand unless you've been in the situation. They were talking about not just what happens when dementia occurs in a family, but how it affects the family as a whole, how it affects the carers, and the limitations that apply to so many things. It was really an eye-opener, and I understand that there was pretty reasonable attendance at their meetings, at their gatherings at the Musicians Club. We were hopeful, as an Ageing Well Committee, we were hopeful of having a session ourselves with them, but time constraints didn't allow it. But I think it was worthwhile, and for somebody that's been involved in dementia with a dementia patient, it brought home some pretty raw facts to me, and I think lots of people would prick their ears up and realise that things are not as easy as they make out. So that was the main thing that was discussed at length. It was raised about the transport situation in Broken Hill, and the general consensus is that the transport situation is much improved now than it was. There doesn't seem to be too many problems at all. And on top of that, the Broken Hill Hospital now has a a better equipped transport vehicle that caters for people or for patients weighing up to 315 kilos. It still doesn't provide availability for bariatric transport, but at least it goes part of the way to helping the limited number of people that are in that sort of situation. The other thing was the dementia-friendly cafe at the old North Mine Hall, or Seniors Lounge as they call it now, was due to kick off on a Thursday between 10 and 12 going back a few weeks ago, but unfortunately because of staff restructures and staff absenteeisms, there wasn't staff available, but it's due to start, I understand, this week. So we're hoping that that goes well. There was some disappointment expressed about the seniors. The seniors concert was a success, but the seniors expo, where there were only about 12 providers present, that the attendance was quite poor, and it's being considered that next time, if there is a next time, that it might be staged a little bit later in the day rather than morning. But apart from that, that's about it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Councillor Page.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a few comments. The federal government have been dragging the chain for 50 odd years plus. It's a shameful situation. It's got to the stage it's very hard to get a spot in a nursing home. The people that choose to stay at home the packages are not being rolled out. And we have a federal government that should hang their head in shame. When it comes to aged care and other youth issues, this current government are too busy going around the world giving money to everyone, and they're putting politics before the people of this country. I know I've said this a million times and I'll keep saying it. Until we put pressure, this council put pressure on the federal government, they'll just treat us like they have for the last 50 years. So I think it's time this council put pressure on the current Prime Minister to come out and have a look at the outback and put some standards back into this country looking after our old people. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Page. So are you foreshadowing a motion after this motion?
I've been saying for 30 years what I've said tonight, and I've mounted campaigns against the federal government on many occasions, and I'm saying this council needs to put their best foot forward and make it clear they're disappointed in the current Prime Minister. He's one with billions of dollars. They don't talk in millions now, it's billions. And they're too busy giving $100 billion to a country the other day to fight a war. What about fighting the aged care issue and the issues we have in our own country?
Thank you. All those in favour of that motion? Passed unanimously. Councillor Page, so you'd like to move to invite Prime Minister Albanese to Broken Hill to look at aged care and what needs to be done out here as far as aged care goes, including home care packages. So he needs to see firsthand what happens when you do not have the funding required because it is being put somewhere else other than into the people that have lived and worked in Australia all their lives.
Very well worded, Mr. Mayor. I couldn't do it better myself.
So that's what you're moving?
If you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Seconded, Councillor Allgate. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Page?
No,
you can keep on going. We don't mind.
I've said it a million times, and it's sad to see. My age group now, we've came through hard times as younger people. Everyone looked after each other. As a nation now, you don't see that in our country now. We have people now that come to Australia. I won't say too much because people will soon say that I'm a racist or whatever. And I don't mind them saying that because what's happening in this country at the moment, the politicians have been our worst enemies for 50 odd years. They've sold off even their gas prices. Now we sell it to a country, they make huge profits, not only gas, you can go on and on and on. And what I'm saying, Mr Mayor, everyone in Australia is saying it. They're sick and tired of the politicians treating us the way they do. Even our state member made it clear today in the media that our current budget in New South Wales doesn't have much in it for the people in the outback.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you,
Exactly.
Mr Mayor.
Any other speakers? Look, here's a perfect example, Councillor Page, $8 million in royalties. The mine will pay out, one mine will pay out this year. This is how much that comes out of our communities that go into the federal coffers, but they don't give it back to us. As you said, the budget's not coming out to here. They put things in the budget, follow it up year after year. It's the same amount of money, but we get nothing new out here in regional New South Wales or regional Australia. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We move to Finance and Governance Committee. Item number 1, the adoption of the draft delivery program incorporating draft operational plan 2026-27, inclusive of the statement of revenue policy, draft schedule of fees and charges for 26-27. It's on page 126 of the business paper.
Move that way.
Move Councillor Boland, seconded
Seconded.
Councillor Allgate. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. One of those reports of council and outlines the charges for the delivery program over 2025 to 2029. I do make note of the one public submission, I believe, yes, it was, which is due to the way the industrial land is valued. And I know this council and the previous council has certainly followed this up with the Valuer General, and it's a common question I get among the community and ratepayers. So it was just the one submission on the review of rating in Rackhouse Street and Newton Lane industrial areas, referring the submissions made in previous years, which of course this council has made with the Valuer General, and this tends to be an issue across the entire city with the way the volatility in rates. So I just wanted to make note of that submission and maybe do a councillor page and say this has been an issue for far too many years and they just seem to not have the ability to fix the issue or listen to this council and our community.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2, adoption of the draft long-term financial plan for 27 to 36. Move
that
Councillor
one.
Boland, seconded Councillor Jewett. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Very difficult report to do. You're looking a long way ahead. Right now in the current economic environment, I struggle to forecast a week in advance or 3 days in advance. It's changing dramatically all the time, and there's cost shifting, and it continues. The state budget was ridiculous. Absolutely, one of the worst budgets I've ever seen. 25% of the population lives outside of Greater Sydney, and we got, I think, 13% of the budget, and it makes doing these forward strategic plans difficult because how much more are we going to lose? The government said the toll relief in Sydney, well, that's for regional people because they travel to Sydney. I think I'll use a toll road once a year if I'm lucky, and most of the roads into Sydney from the regions are Princess Highway, M4, and they're all free roads anyway, and they also put under the regional development an off-ramp off the M6 or M4, one of the M's in Sydney, and they put that under regional development. So back to this report, makes doing these long-term reports very, very difficult when you've got a very city-centric government in that seems to think that, you know, New South Wales comes to a stop without regional areas with the money we put in, and we get 13% when we've got 25% of the population. And I like to imagine, or I'd like to think, or I know that we would probably generate 70% of the economic activity for the state. But I will point out the city growth as major projects come online in spite of both the state and federal government. And the long term is the balanced approach or the balance plan, which it takes a lot of work to achieve, and the staff doing a great job, and led by this council and the council before as well. And we've had a lot of capital renewal and infrastructure investments across the city over the last 6-7 years. Really improved, and it improves the livability. So good report, and well done to the team involved. Simon and his team have done a great job in preparing a good document that could have to change depending on what the government of the day decides.
Thank you, councillor Boland. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 is the cessation of special purpose financial statements from financial year 2025-26 onwards on page 275 of the business paper. We have a mover for that.
I'll move that way.
Move councillor Boland, seconded councillor Chandler. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. I think the main thing to note is this financial report is not used anymore, and it does cost the council money to produce. So it's a smart move. It's going to save money, but the main thing is it's not required anymore. It's not being used. It's not being reviewed. It's just something that's costing money to do, that is covered in the last report, in the budget reports, in the annual report. So happy to support the motion as written.
Yes, and it affects no users. Yeah. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 4 is the draft cybersecurity policy on page 277. Do we have a mover for that? Move councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Jewett. Councillor Allgate.
It's something that we desperately need. As we all know, even in a private home, you need to watch what you're doing nowadays on a computer, and security is of the utmost importance. And with AI playing a role in it in the current scenario, we're all at risk, let alone big organisations. The risk factor just grows. The bigger you are, the bigger the risk. And I think this particular report covers pretty much all of what the council needs to do, as far as I'm aware. And we just have to keep monitoring it on a day-by-day basis, as I'm sure the computer people and the Treasury will be doing.
Thank you, councillor Allgate. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 5 is the investment report for May 2026 on page 290.
Move that way.
Move councillor Boland, seconded councillor Allgate. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Like I've said several times, it's tough right now. I do bring the one non-compliant with policy, which is the portfolio performance versus the RBA cash rate. It's coming back in the right direction, but obviously there's been a lot of changes, and we know the economy has tanked. So I'm confident with the strategy in place to bring that back in compliant with policy. Some of the stuff that come out today, headline inflation running 4% after 4.6% last month. Property build prices are up. Input costs in everything are up. It's going to be a very interesting, tough period ahead. The unemployment rate's up. Inflation's up. That equals stagflation, the evil stagflation from the 70s. Will send a shiver down several economists, lecturers, etc. So it's going to be an interesting period, and it's good to see that the majority of this report is compliant. The ones that's not is certainly heading back towards compliant. And I'll leave it there with the bad news around the economy.
Thank you, councillor Boland. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We move to item 15, further reports, correspondence, impact of the current fuel crisis on tourism to the Far West region of New South Wales on page 307. Do we have a mover for that?
Move that way.
Move councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Gillett. Councillor Allgate?
Yeah, I think this is a concern for lots of places, not the least of which is Broken Hill. You know, when you consider that we expect an enormous crowd to attend the Monday Bash in August, and we still don't know what's going to happen in the future. Every now and again, it looks like there might be resolution in the Middle East or in Iran and Strait of Hormuz and whatever, but you never know who's telling the truth or whatever. There is a doubt. I noticed that I travelled to Adelaide and then to Mildura and then back home the other day. I'm still surprised at the number of caravans that are on the road, even now. Unbelievable number. So maybe it won't be as bad as we think. I'm hoping it won't be as bad as we think, because this town, segments of this town rely heavily on that Monday Bash, the money that's brought into town, new money that's brought into town. And we don't want to see any of that diminish. We want to see it grow as it looked like it would grow. I think the people that are going to go to Monday Bash have made their mind up. They're going no matter what, providing there's fuel available. And that's the big problem. Nobody knows what's going to happen by the time August comes. Everything might be fine, but then again, who knows? Let's hope that, we're in a better position in August. But it's not just August alone. We want regular tourism during the winter season, which is normally tends to be our peak time of visitations. And things have been okay so far, but let's hope it continues that way.
Thank you, councillor Allgate. Any other comments? Councillor Boland?
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. This is a major issue for the city. It's a major issue for our tourist providers, our hospitality providers, and right down to the milk bars and corner stores. Normally from St. Pat's onwards, you'd see a massive uptick. It just didn't come this year. The one good thing from that horrendous federal budget was it's knocked the fuel crisis off the front page, and there seems to be some more people trickling through now. But as someone who drives probably 25,000 k's a year around the regional areas of South Australia, New South Wales into Sydney, there was just no traffic on the road in March and April. It was just it was like you'd see in the middle of January. So it's slow. It's starting to slowly come back, but all it'd take is a flare up in the Middle East and another fright, or politicians in Canberra trying to get political points saying there'll be rationing. And who knows, there may be. But even talking to the businesses along Patton Street, they're struggling. They've said that the numbers just aren't there this year. Talking to other tourist operators, they're down between 10, 15, 20, sometimes 25%. So I know a lot of operators are fingers crossed for the Monday Bash, and really that's probably the only thing keeping a lot of hospitality and tourism-based businesses operating, is that knowing that Monday's coming along, and obviously we've heard about the festival that goes alongside that as well. So I know there's a lot of excitement around that, and really this could be the make and break for a lot of local hospitality and tourism businesses, that August period.
Thank you, councillor Boland. Any other speakers? I do note in that correspondence from the Honourable Steve Camper that he did acknowledge that the difficulty that tourism's facing across the state, and did also acknowledge that Destination New South Wales does have to focus on our area as well. So at least there was some positives in the correspondence. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item number 2, correspondence report, investment in Us campaign on page 310. We have a mover for that.
Move that way.
Moved councillor Gillett, seconded councillor Allgate. Councillor Gillett.
I think that this campaign has actually reached South Australia, because on the ABC radio this morning and yesterday, they had several politicians talking about this process. So that is good news that it's being publicised.
That is good news. Do we have any other comments on that?
The only comment through you, Mr. Mayor, is the fact that the 1% wasn't considered by all. They're giving us 0.49%.
Yeah. Went backwards.
Whilst they say we're going to receive more, that's only because of inflation. It's not because they're giving us
No, it's
more.
gone backwards.
Yeah.
Councillor Page.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this issue is like Groundhog Day. I've been saying this for 30 odd years plus, that, and it used to be 2.8% of GDP, and our councils in the outback carrying the workload of the country, it's not so bad for the people in the city. They have huge budgets, and half the time they're not sure what they're going to spend it on because they've got that much money. Out here, it's this proposal here is part of our survival in the outback. So going from 2.8 of GDP down to what we get at the moment, it just shows how much or lack of respect that the politicians have for the people in the outback. So, and this has been going on for a long time. It's all the politicians today, no matter what party they belong to, are not interested in people in the outback. So no, it doesn't matter if you're Labor, Liberal, who you are, none of them in the history have ever given the money to the outback that the outback need to survive. And people are doing it pretty tough in the outback now. It's bloody shameful. And there's a lot of small towns, they're supplying money to put services in the system that should have been paid for by the federal or state government. So it's called cost shifting. And it's been, I know you're nodding your head, Mr. Mayor, and I know you fully understand. You fully understand the issue, and I'd like to hear a few comments from you, Mr. Mayor.
You will, Councillor Page. Look, people, so it's down to 0.49%. So it's gone down significantly over the last couple of years. So in real terms, councils might be getting more money, but that money doesn't buy near as much. And people also need to take into account that the formula that distributes that money relies heavily on population. As a percentage of the population, regional Australia has gone down significantly. So the money coming into regional councils has dropped way below what it has for the city, our city counterparts. Currently there is no Northern Territory council that will be financially viable in the coming years. That has been identified by many reports. In New South Wales, up to 30 New South Wales councils will not remain viable as the grant funding for the financial assistance grants go lower. So if there isn't something done, the government will be paying out a lot more than what they are currently, because if the councils cannot afford to maintain roads, footpaths, or look after aged care, for example, in some areas, child care in some councils, you'll soon find that the federal government won't have enough money to pay for anything, because what local government does for their communities is astounding. It does it at a far cheaper cost than what the federal government could ever pay it out. A perfect example is the NDIS that the government took over and did such a great job with. They are now calling on councils to take back some of those services as they stripped them out of councils' hands, as we now have a budget for the NDIS that's gone above Medicare. If they continue to drain local governments of the money that's required to keep them financially viable, they'll end up taking over a heap of councils around this country as well. And let's see how it goes when you have federal government organisations trying to run local councils. People will soon find out just how bad government is, particularly federal and state government, when they start administering the day-to-day operations as of, for example, doing your footpaths or doing your roads or looking after your parks or gardens. So if they don't start investing in local councils and local communities, they'll soon find out just how bad it is. I could say right now that the government or the party that chooses to increase back to 1% that financial assistance grants, ultimately they will eventually win government, because people are sick of not having, out in regional areas, sick of not having the resources we need to run our cities. People are sick of footpaths that aren't up to scratch because governments don't give councils enough money. We can't keep on hitting our ratepayers up to pay for something that the federal government should be doing. If they put it up to 1%, the amount of money we receive from the federal government would go from 7.2 million up to $14 million immediately. We'd have an extra $7 million a year that would be able to spend on footpaths and roads. That $7 million means in 5 years we'll do all footpaths in the city. That's how simple it is, and that's why Councillor Page gets angry. And that's why I'm angry.
Mr Mayor, can I make comment?
You can, Councillor Page.
I'd personally like to thank you. You fully understand the problem, and thank you for your comments. They're very valid comments, and thank you very much for making those comments. We need to show courage to these politicians, and what you said tonight shows, the way we all feel in the outback. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Page. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3, correspondence led.
Just leave the chamber.
Oh,
That's fine.
sorry, Councillor.
All good. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Edgecombe. Correspondence lead contamination in Broken Hill on page 316. Do we have a mover for that?
Move that one.
Councillor Boland, seconded
Seconded.
Councillor Allgate. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Acknowledge there's the report. Acknowledge the correspondence, and also acknowledge the $900,000 committed annually. I'd like to see a breakdown of where that $929,000 is committed annually. But as Councillor Page has said, I kind of don't have the 30 years experience on council like Councillor Page does. But we've got to keep on the government around this issue to ensure that our water's affordable, we can keep our green spaces green. We want to expand that 929,000, know where it's going. I also referenced the X-ray machine at the local health district as well. But there's a lot more that needs to be done. If the water increases and the green spaces around the city disappear or regress, as happened 10 odd years ago with the issues at the Menindee Lakes, the lead will increase again. So really need to keep on the government. I do acknowledge their correspondence. I do acknowledge that the close to $1 million committed annually, but more needs to be done, and more needs to be done from the government.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Councillor Allgate, do you want to speak on that? No. Councillor, any other councillors? Look, I found the correspondence completely weak in what it said. 900 odd thousand, which includes testing, monitoring, some remediation. That's what we've been getting for the last 20 years. We've been speaking about this. If it was in Newcastle or Port Macquarie or any of the other places over near Sydney, something gets done and done immediately. We get back correspondence from the health minister saying, oh, we've done this for you, as our kids continue to be above the acceptable levels for lead. When are they going to do something about catering and lowering lead levels, or making real impacts in when the chief scientist reports come back? There's recommendations that we've had come to this city for the last 20 years. Nothing happens. We get correspondence that tells us how good they are. They are not good. The New South Wales state government is doing nothing for Broken Hill. We had Councillor Page or Councillor Boland say about 13% in the budget for regional areas. Where is our commitment from the state government that they're going to fund some of the programs out here to actually lower lead levels? It is not happening. And again, what they end up doing is they drive radicalism from councils because they actually do nothing. So you end up with a council that's going over saying that you are hopeless, and they are hopeless. That is the reality. That as far as addressing lead issues in Broken Hill, consecutive state governments have been absolutely hopeless, and they'll continue to be hopeless until they start to implement some of the recommendations in the reports that they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars before and never implement. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Simon. Item number 4, the office, that was just passed as written, Councillor Edgecombe. Item number 4, Office of Local Government Councillor Conduct Reforms on page 320. Do we have a mover for that? Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Page. Councillor Allgate.
Yes, I was a bit surprised at this this move by the government or the Legislative Amendment Council, but you know, from a council perspective, and I thought from this council's perspective, we were quite happy with the changes. The changes that were made seemed to be based on common sense. And unfortunately, those common sense ideas seem to be under question now. I really don't understand the logic. It must be, I think it must be politically based, the problems, but they're asking for further submissions by councils. Councils already have given submissions and told the powers to be what we think. Now that we've agreed on certain issues, particularly in the manner in which code of conduct complaints will be dealt with in a streamlined, efficient and much improved manner, they're back on the drawing board. But, you know, it makes you wonder how the government works altogether.
Any other comments? Councillor Page?
Yes, Mr Mayor. Pardon me. We've already been through a lot of this on many occasions, and what I've seen in local government over the last, I won't say 30 years, but a long period of time, there's not much common sense and there's not much local left in local government. We're dictated to by the state and federal government what can happen and what can't. So when they say we're local, they've taken the local out of it. So I could say a lot more, Mr Mayor, I won't. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Any other comments? Look, I think you'll find, Councillor Allgate and Councillor Page, this is the Office of Local Government trying to put their bureaucratic touch on it and keep some control over what councils do, when the Minister for Local Government made it quite clear that he believes in freedom of political expression and understands that councillors have a right to argue their points. It's up to the mayor or the chair of any committee that they're at or meeting that they're at to keep control at those meetings. And if they can't, then they're the ones that are in trouble. But I think you'll find it's just the bureaucracy at the Office of Local Government do not like the fact that people elect councillors to be in charge of their community. Ultimately, it's the people of the area that elects them, unelects them when they do a terrible job. And until the Office of Local Government understands that and they get the message from the Minister, Ron Honig, loud and clear that that's exactly what he meant by the reforms that he wanted, we'll get this. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item number 5 is the draft code of practice, closed circuit television, CCT system program policy on page 398 of the business paper. Do we have a mover for that? Moved, Councillor.
Move that way.
Gillett, seconded Councillor Allgate. Councillor Gillett? No? No. Any other councillors? It's just your stock standard policy. It talks about CCTV. It gives you a rundown of what areas have our CCTV and what impact it will have on communities. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 6 is the minutes of the Audit and Risk and Improvement Committee meeting held on the 25th of May 2026 on page 416. Do we have a mover for that?
Move the recommendation.
Move Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Jewett. Councillor Allgate?
I didn't attend the last meeting, but as far as I'm concerned, everything that's in the report, they're lengthy minutes, hours and hours and hours of reading. But I think, you know, the fact that there is a diverse membership of that committee ensures that we get a good cross-section of the community views. So I think they've done a good job.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Any other speakers? All those in favour? Declare it carried unanimously. Councillor Edgecombe?
Yep, thank you.
Item number 7, support for the Rural Doctors Network Bush Bursary program on
Move
page
that way.
4.3. Move Councillor Boland, seconded Councillor Jewett. Councillor Boland.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Very important program, and I make note of the ridiculous modified Monash model rating 3, which affects Broken Hill's access to programs and initiatives. And again, you could put this under cost shifting because council supporting this very, very important program. But you have to ask yourself, where's the government? They should be out here making sure we've got access to doctors, making sure we're not on a ridiculous modified Monash model of 3. But happy to support this. We need it for our community. We've got a lack of permanent GPs, anything that helps. But ultimately, I'm not moving it without calling out the government and as I said earlier, 13%. Of the budget comes the other side of the Blue Mountains. So again, council stepping up where government really should be. But that's what we do to support our community. But we'll make sure Canberra or Sydney hears loud and clear that we're not impressed and they need to do more.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. Any other comments? Look, it's a very good service. The Rural Doctors Network has been very supportive of GP services and other medical services in Broken Hill, and anything that we can do to help them facilitate increase in services is a really good thing. $3,300 is money well spent. I have no doubt as they continue to develop their report into medical services in Broken Hill, we'll end up getting a really good outcome from it. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Just passed as written, Councillor Edgecombe. Minutes of the Local Transport Forum held on Thursday, 11th of June 2026 on page 448 of the business paper.
Move the recommendation.
Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Chandler. Councillor Allgate.
I think one of the more important issues that was discussed at this particular meeting was the fact that there'd been a complaint or concerns lodged by a South resident in terms of school children from the Alma School crossing Bonanza Street at Boardman intersection and at Wilson Street. There are marked crossings there, pedestrian crossings, but even the police noted that it becomes a bit of a speedway there. Yeah. With the traffic that goes to the airport and to the Clive Bishop Medical Centre, as well as the traffic, local traffic. Speed seems to get away with some people, and the woman that wrote the letter said that she'd seen near misses on numerous occasions, really concerned about young kids crossing the street. Before, there used to be a 40km/h zone over that particular section of the road, and nobody knows why it was rescinded. or changed. The Transport Forum chairperson said he will check that out and find out what the reasoning behind that was and whether it can be reintroduced. And the police also said that they will closely monitor that area as a result of the complaint that's come in. The other thing that was of some concern was that the T junction off the Mildura Road or Wentworth Road that services the Pinnacles mine. Apparently there was a near miss there, large haulage trucks coming down the road into town. The 70-kilometre-hour zone is placed, the start of it is placed further down than the T junction, and they're asking, can that 70-kilometre-hour zone be increased in length back to the other side of the T junction so that there's better sight distance and more time given to negotiate the thing and some clearing of weeds and whatever. So that matter's being looked at. I think the only other matter of importance is the multitude of parking problems that continually raise themselves. There seems to be an expectation by a lot of people that if they want to go to a certain shop, there should be a disability parking spot in front of it. And we all know that on a practical sense, that can't be the case. But currently the committee has got a plan to do an audit on all of the parking zones, not only the taxi and rideshare and disability, do the lot and try and get a rational approach to what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. There was a request for disability parking in front of the new wellbeing centre that's run by the Royal Flying Doctor in Glen Street. That will be one of those that's looked at. But apart from that, everything's going reasonably fine. The T junction on the highway is the big problem, and the kids crossing Bonanza Street, because I know myself, it's very easy to get over the speed limit on that particular road. Once you get through that roundabout, everybody seems to accelerate, and come school break up or on the way to school, kids crossing the road, they need to be protected, as best the town and the committee can.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 9 is the action list report on page 464 of the business paper. Do we have a mover for that?
Move.
Moved, Councillor Allgate. Seconded. Councillor Jewett. Councillor Allgate.
No, it seems.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 16, questions on notice from the previous council meeting on page 483. Do we have a mover for that? Move, Councillor Boland. Seconded. Councillor Gillett. Councillor Boland.
All written there, Mayor Kennedy.
Yeah, so the answers to those questions will be at, I think it is the corporate and service in July. So there were a couple of questions asked by Councillor Turley. They'll be answered in a report to our committee meetings. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Questions for the next meeting? Do we have any questions for the next meeting? No questions for the next meeting. We move the second public forum session of 15 minutes. We'll consider submissions from the public regarding matters that were considered by council at this meeting only. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes. Would you like to speak? We have a speaker. If you could just say your name for the tape. Thanks, Ros.
Ros O'Connor. I don't know that it's relevant because we haven't spoken about it, but the big excitement, of course, in Broken Hill coming up is the opening of the library.
Well, it's in the action list, so you can
So I
speak about it.
Speak about it.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, General Manager, what sort of opening we're going to have when? And are you going to sort of have tours of the place? You're going to have tea, coffee, afternoon tea, bookstall, and who's actually opening the library?
Would you like to answer that? Thank you, General Manager.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'll answer the most prominent one first. We haven't got a date set as yet. Will be early July, so we're getting very close. The building's complete and the landscape's being finalised, and they'll be completed this week. We're just not setting a date until we have all the final certificates through for our occupation certificates. That's just it's paperwork, but I think council learnt its lesson with the Civic Centre, so we're just making sure that all those certificates are in place before we announce an opening, but it will be early July. And it will be a toured opening, so we'll have a big opening across a couple of days there. The relevant funding bodies from the state and federal government have been invited to open it, but we haven't had any responses as yet. So it will be opened by the mayor. And there will be a community day there, so food and drinks and a bit of a festival with guided tours of the library across the 2 days. But it will also be business as usual for the library staff as well. And the plan is that we'll be open sometime during the school holiday, so they'll be able to launch the school holiday program as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Terrific. Well done.
Thank
Thanks
you.
very much.
Thank you. We move to confidential matters. As per council's meeting practice, members of the public can apply. We don't do that anymore. They can still apply. Yep, that's good. Make representations to council as to whether the meeting should be closed to the council to consider a particular item. In the opinion of the General Manager, the item listed for consideration in closed session at this meeting is of kind as referred to section 10A 2 of the Local Government Act. There were nil applications were received. Do we have a mover to go into closed session? Move Councillor Gillett, seconded Councillor Jewett. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. There is only one item, so it shouldn't take too long.